Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. Between the OTC, New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ, there are over 22,000 companies traded publicly. I feel that small businesses are the backbone of America. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest. Co-founder and CEO of Bumpr Inc., Kaleb Janzen. Bumpr is a revolutionary advertising platform. Think about a billboard, but in the back window of a car or SUV, translucent on the inside and a beautiful display on the outside. But I'll let Kaleb tell you more about this in just a minute. It's important to understand that I do not collect compensation for the interviews I do here. The purpose of this channel is to find companies that have identified big problems and have found solutions to those problems. There's a thing called impact investing. It's tied to environmental, social, and governance. By helping a small company become a large corporation, if you and I can become ambassadors of a product because the values of that company align with our own, think of all the jobs that will be created as that small company becomes a big company. Think about the community that that company is in. Typically, they thrive along with the company. This channel is to help companies that are relatively unknown become known so that they can build a following and they can have brand ambassadors that share their vision, share their mission, and are willing to do what they can to help have a positive impact on humanity. That's what this channel is all about. This is my invitation to you to become a positive impact person. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, you speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with another unique, privately held company that I think could have a tremendous impact on the advertising world. Kaleb Janzen is a co-founder. Are you the CEO as well, Kaleb?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got Kaleb here. Kaleb, why don't you give us real quickly a snapshot of what exactly Bumpr is and does?
Totally. It's probably easiest to talk a little bit over the video. But yeah, so we are an billboard advertising company. It's an old industry looking to be transformed. And so what you're seeing here is our one-way transparent proprietary billboard. It's made to go in the back window of an Uber or Lyft car. We pay them a set rate, and then we take the fleet of billboards that we amalgamate together and sell this advertising to big brands looking to make a splash in like a city. As you can see, it's pretty unmissable. I don't know, Tim, you can probably speak to it because when you see it, but when you're behind one, you can't really miss them.
And well, it's funny. You just have the thing across the screen, in your face advertising. Now, how did I find Bumpr? I was driving down towards the strip, and there was a car in front of me, and he had Barbie in the windshield or in the back window, and I'm like looking at this thing, and it's bright as like could be, right? And I'm like, why is this guy driving around with Barbie in his back window? How strange is that, right?
No
And then
kidding.
it went from Barbie to, I think it was a local lawyer here in town. And I was like, oh shit, that is cool as hell, right? And I mean, I took out my phone and I took a snapshot of it. I was like, and that's when Bumpr came up, call about having this in your back window for your company. And I'm thinking, that's awesome, right? What a great way, because you cannot not look at this thing. Like watching TV, right? It
No,
just
of course,
your face, and you're just like watching through the commercials.
of
And
course.
it's
We
awesome.
we Yeah, we live in an interesting moment in time where there's a growing amount of like gig economy workers, people that are doing Uber and Lyft and who are on the road full time, and they're incentivized naturally to infiltrate these high tourist, high density areas. Like they're incentivized to go where the people are. So as opposed to me, spending like lots of money to buy real estate on a billboard, off of an important highway or right in the middle of downtown, for a fraction of the cost, I'm able to get in hundreds of vehicles and have them naturally swarm locations where they're busiest. So this, it's a good play because it gives advertisers what they want, which is unmissable advertising, but also all of our incentives are aligned to be where people are. So naturally, we found that it was going to be a good fit that way.
So I'm just going to give everybody a quick rundown on what happened next, and that was I called to find out, or actually I filled out a form, I think, on your website, and to find out more. And it was about 7:30 on a Friday night that I got a phone call from this kid named Kaleb Janzen. And we talked for about, I don't know, I want to say we talked for about an hour and a half that morning,
Yeah,
right?
'cause-
Two things that impressed the hell out of me. Number one, you called me on a Friday, right? And it was, end of way past the workday for most people. And you were more than willing to talk about the business. Now you're out of where?
we're out of Vegas.
But you originally then were
I'm from Vancouver in Canada. Correct.
right.
Yeah,
So, I asked you, I said, so I'm assuming this is your pilot, your test pilot, right? And it,
correct. Yeah, it was.
why was it smart? Because it was a very concentrated area from airport to right.
Yeah, we didn't need a lot of capital to test this market because the tourist density is second to New York. And so we did not need to, like, if we launched in LA, we would need 100 times the presence, 100 times the capital to have the same amount of effect as we do in Vegas. And so Vegas was the perfect test market.
All right, so I'm going to ask you, how did you get here, Kaleb?
Well, yeah, I guess a little bit about me. I'm 26 years old. I'm married. We just had a baby girl, which is she's been amazing to us. My wife's a nurse, and so a little bit about how I came to get into Bumpr. Um, I was studying for my degree in finance in Vancouver, and me and my roommate, kind of looked at each other. We're like, we gotta pay for school somehow. And so we started a company that we knew. It was a landscaping company, and we took it to 500,000 in sales. I eventually sold that company, but during when I was on site one day, I looked up and saw our competitor cars roll by in beautifully wrapped cars, and it made me really angry because I was like, oh, how do I get our brand all around the city, making us look really big because they look really good. And so I started looking into interesting ways and creative ways to advertise my brand across the city in a cost-effective manner. Long story short, we started looking into transparent technology because we really liked Rear Window. And within a year, we had a test product out. We had a show car at CES in Las Vegas, and the attention that we got there was so much that we decided that it would be a good pilot market to put it out. And so we put 10 in the market for a season to make sure that they can withstand the Vegas heat. Drivers don't run away with them. Drivers actually do the amount of hours that they say they do, and it turned out great. And so we put another 125 out the following year, and have seen consistent almost 200% quarter over quarter revenue growth since then. which is exciting for a pilot market. We haven't even got to the big markets yet.
So I mean, that's pretty phenomenal growth, right? I mean, and you and I talked about, because I mean, here we have so many conventions going on down on the strip, and you got so many big players that come to town. And you know, when the shows get out, I mean, what a perfect time to have 100 Uber drivers with the same ad, whether it's Sony or whoever it is, right?
Totally.
I think that's just such a powerful, and you could have that deployed for like 2 hours, right? A swarm.
Correct. And that's the cool thing about this is, you're able to geofence, which is a fancy word for release ads in a certain zip code or area. And so we do this a lot with political campaigns. We had a senator, your state senator, advertise. She's like, I need, presence in these zip codes. And so we're able to boost her in those zip codes. And she, just got back to us with glowing reports saying she saw our ads everywhere. People were coming up to her saying they see her everywhere. And so when we pull up, another interesting case study we did is for a local lawyer. Northeast Las Vegas is heavily a Hispanic community, and so we changed all of our legal or lawyer messaging to Spanish in Northeast Las Vegas to target that community. So this was a really good pilot in Vegas to test out our capabilities and see like, oh, this really does bring value to advertisers, because they're used to just buying a piece of paper that goes on the side of the highway or something that they can't change. Now all of a sudden we can add seasonality and creativity, and let alone being in an unmissable location, you have all these bonuses that you can use to grab your consumers' attention.
I want to reiterate the fact that as bright as these things look on the outside, from the inside looking out, it is not disruptive to the driver. It's
Correct.
transparent, right?
Correct. I play hockey, so now like it's like looking through like a hockey cage. I have one on my car, and you get used to it. It's almost like I don't see it anymore. It's basically like some small lines on your windshield, and it doesn't bother you at all. So for drivers, it's a nice addition because they get to make money with no skin off their backs, right? Like they're just driving anyways. Might as well add a piece of unobtrusive equipment that they can put in their car to make some extra cash.
Right. All right. So the model works. So you can go to Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, whoever drivers, right? And you offer them the opportunity to have this in their vehicle, and they earn dollars from you a month, or how's that work?
Correct. We pay them set rate per hour. We do track them though, because like on the off case, we would find that someone left it on in their garage, or they took a nap outside their house, and it's like, well, we're not paying you for that. We need you rolling. And so we pay them a set rate, and that set rate is is about 7 times larger the margin that an average billboard company or transit billboard company is operating at. And so we are operating at unprecedented margins, which is why this is so scalable. Let's just take a competitor example. You've probably seen those digital tops that go on the top of taxis.
Yep.
Those things are about $10,000 a unit. We're coming in closer to $650, $700 a unit, and we're selling it for a similar price. And so the operating margins, and let alone the cost to pay the driver, right? Like for a company to pay a driver or a cab or someone to put a massive thing on your roof and mount it there permanently, they have to pay about double what we do, right? So we're 7 times more efficient than our competitors in this space. And we're in a better location because There was this great study that was done in LA on center red digital billboards compared to lateral red. And when you're driving, you have this like zone of influence, it's called, where you're locked in, looking straight ahead. And for every degree that you have to look outside of your zone of influence, you actually digest exponentially less information.
That makes
And
sense.
so, yeah, right. And so we infiltrate their zone of influence, and which leads to, we're 5.8 times more effective than a lateral red billboard. And so this is something that large agencies, large companies nationwide, when we scale, are going to be, excited to get their brands on. Um, but it's very scalable with these unit economics.
So let's talk about that scalability. So you started with the pilot in Vegas, and as I understand it, you're looking to start up in Florida.
Correct. We're launching in Miami this quarter, which is exciting. So basically, we what we wanted to do was prove the concept in a small city, and we don't even have access to, like, the industry as a whole. It's about $40 billion billboard ads are out of home globally, right? The majority of that is spent by agencies, right? They're like a middleman. And so then they take big brands like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Sony, Microsoft, and they spend their money. So we're only really chasing after a small portion of that available money by just being in Vegas. And so what we want to do is we want to strategically put cars in the top designated markets or DMAs across the US that will be able to give us access to this advertising spend. And so even like we've already worked with some pretty cool brands like the UFC, the Department of Homeland Security. You mentioned Barbie. But when the big thing when we go into, one of our early stage investors has a international media company, and when we pitch this to his national media buyers, they're like, oh, like tell us about the scale, tell us about the scale. And so basically, we need to be in 5 cities with a decent footprint. For us, that looks like 50 cars in each city. For us to qualify for these national sales. And so that's what we're doing. We're proving this in Vegas. We did it with bootstrap, with essentially family friends money, and we're convincing people to buy it that have a fraction of the budget of what we're actually trying to go after. So if we did it here, we're going to do it everywhere.
All right, and let's talk about. So now you've even had some interesting opportunities in terms of licensing, right?
Correct. Correct. So this opportunity came to me as I guess there's 2 models of revenue, right? There's the operating, like we're gonna buy or we're gonna pay the Uber driver to drive and sell the ad space. And then there's this opportunity where someone came to me and said, hey, I would love to start this in my own country. And so I started asking around what this model would look like. And basically, it's a really good moneymaker, where I can't fully disclose the terms, but basically we make a lot of money initially on selling the hardware, and then we take a percentage of their revenue, as well as a minimum annual guarantee if they do not hit those revenue markers. And so what this does is it allows us to scale into new markets without having to take the financial risk and without knowing that market. And so we can go to anybody in the world and say, like, hey, in Cape Town, South Africa, there's, this person that specializes in advertising on Uber cars, but they're not doing right. They can't do our rear window. Let's offer, you can buy 1,000 units and we'll take a minimum guarantee on those units, and you do your thing. We'll give you we won't give you the keys. You still have to send us the creative, so we upload it, so we hold control, but we'll give you the product. And so this was a model that one of our early investors shared with us that he was able to scale out of by making really good money on the hardware. So a couple of examples, and we have a couple large bidders in Mexico looking to do this. Carlos, the grandson of Carlos Slim, as well as one of the second largest billboard company in Mexico. So we're sending a sample down for them to get it approved for their country, which would be, purchase of over 1,000 units, which would be over $1 million in hardware sales that we would be taking, a really about a 10-15% revenue chunk on as well on each of those units. We've successfully launched, as I like to do it small first before I do it big. And so we launched, our first licensee partner was in Guatemala. So we launched Bumpr Guatemala 3 months ago. And we signed with them, and they purchased a small order of 25 units. We got them there, we got it installed. We just wanted to make sure that our systems scale and that everything works. And it was a massive hit. They went famous on TikTok. Everyone's saying like, "Oh, these screens are everywhere," and they're starting to make sales right away. And so this was kind of an indicator, like, holy smokes, this can be a global thing pretty quick.
When I first saw this thing, I thought to myself, if you guys can do this right, if you can scale, this is a money maker. This is a impactful. I think it's a great tool for. I mean, I know that you're talking about a lot of big businesses, but I think it's a great tool for small businesses too, right?
Right.
Get their name out in their local community. I mean, I just think it grabs your attention like nothing else. And like I said, it's in your face, right?
Yeah.
You cannot look away.
We're more on the small business front. We're running a campaign right now to claim your territory and your zip code in Las Vegas. And so we're giving one business the exclusive rights to have their local business be on our screens when they come into their zip code. And talk about like when you're sitting at a red light and you see like whatever a regular ad, but if you're seeing something like, hey, you're close to this restaurant right now, it's $5 off happy hour, come in. Yeah, like it's like talk like that would get your attention.
I mean, that's a fantastic idea. I mean,
Yeah.
The opportunities for your product, I think you guys are probably still in your infancy stages of really figuring out all the benefits that you can provide, which is very different from a static billboard that sits on the side. I personally have never bought one thing off of a billboard or a bus stop shelter or any of those things. I've just never, I can see them and I understand if you're Coca-Cola and you have a gazillion dollars to spend and you want to capture mind share, then yeah, I could see spending money on a billboard, right? Because you just have your brand in front of people's faces.
Totally. But I mean, I'd ask you something like, do you think the opportunity to see is as good as the capturing someone's attention?
Do I run that by me one more time?
Like, so big billboards, they thrive off of the opportunity for people to see you, right? Like, oh, we're so big, they go by us, but they don't capture people's attention, right? Where in the 21st century, attention is the currency, right? People like when you're thinking of like a top of funnel, grab someone's attention, you just have to be, people are often thinking like, oh, I'll just be in a place where they can't, or, where they could see us. And, maybe I'll play a cold ad on Instagram and make them frustrated because we're actually involved in a negative experience where they're trying to skip us and we're in their way. But we meet people where, their endorphins are flowing, they're outside, it's a positive experience. And we're giving them high signal information about businesses in their area. So
no, I don't think there's any. I guess what I'm trying to say in a nice way is that there is no comparison between the two ad platforms, right? You've got my attention with the one that's sitting right in front of me, and done right, yeah, like when you've got the geofence for my zip code and I'm close to a coffee shop or a little breakfast place. Hey, come on in and get, breakfast for whatever. That is powerful to me.
Totally, totally. And I mean, I think there's for businesses like small businesses, you can only convert the amount of people, like you can only convert a percentage of people that know about you. Let's exponentially increase the amount of people that know about you, right?
Right.
And like that's what we do. That's what we do really well. I remember when, yeah, so it's an opportunity that I'm excited to see how the numbers turn out with when we call. Like it's, we're going to be calling you if you're a small business. Hey, this is going to go to someone in your neighborhood. I would love it to be you.
I mean, and that's it right there.
Yeah.
You also recently were one of the finalists in a little competition in Nevada, right? For small
Correct.
business.
Yeah. So there was 170 competitors, and then it was I forget what it was for 400 grand, matched by the state, and we came second to a company that was in their Series A doing millions of revenue. So it was a little bit different of a stage of company that we were dealing with, but I mean, at the very last minute, they asked me to give up board control, which is something I wasn't, comfortable with at this stage. And so one board seat's fine, but I'm I wasn't ready to give up the farm quite yet. So
Actually, I hope you don't, Caleb.
yeah,
I think you're in the very early stages. I think there's going to be a lot of vultures that are going to want to try and take you out early because they see what you've got here. But this is it, in my view. At some point, this is a multi-billion-dollar company.
hmm. I think so. Like when we talk about our global presence but yeah, it all comes down to if it sells and if it works, right? And so that's why it was important for us it's important for me to hear calls from you saying like, what the heck did I just see? Why is this thing like flashing in my face? Like this is amazing. And for it is, I guess a lot of people do ask like, is this legal? The part that we tackled that would have made this illegal is the transparency level for the drivers. And so before, you can't just stick something in your back window and block their view. And so because we made a transparent screen, the pixel pitch is just slightly apart and it only shines out the back, then we're a go. And so this is an exciting moment for us to be like, okay, we can scale now across the US to every major city because there's already larger formats, more distracting formats of those trucks everywhere. And so I'm not sure if you've seen those. Oh,
Okay,
go ahead.
let me ask you this, because I've seen, I have started thinking about semis. I started thinking about the back doors, right? Those are
Right.
some big. That's a big screen, right?
Yeah.
Could potentially be, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, okay, number one, how are you in terms? Are you protected? Do you have intellectual property that you have protected?
Yeah, so we actually have the patent on our process of Rear Window of we can't didn't patent the process of, or we didn't patent how far the pixels are spaced apart, but we have the patent on geofencing on Rear Window technology specifically. So if someone else wanted to try doing this, what they would have to do is take a USB stick with the file and plug it into the screen and have it roll as opposed to the new and innovative thing that we're bringing to the table is that we're able to geofence and bring real-time advertisements to people based on the areas that these are in. And so that's what we protected. We protected we have a provisional patent that is up for national refiling in the spring that we're excited to do. on geofencing, specifically geofencing on transparent rear window technology.
Okay.
So
Excellent. I mean, that's excellent to hear.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, yeah, it's a bottleneck, right? Like you always want to patent the spot that everyone like the spot that differentiates you. And when I was speaking with different patent lawyers, they were suggesting that this was the best move.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So what are the long-term plans? If I'm not mistaken, right now, you are in the process of looking at doing a private placement.
Correct. Yeah, correct. We are building this company to sell. I do believe that Bumpr is a perfect bolt-on for a large media company or like an Uber or a Lyft. I've had friends companies in this space be snatched up within 10 months at a really good multiple. Um, this is a highly acquisitive industry. Companies are being snatched up left and right now. Uber is spending billions on their new advertising initiative. And so if they see that we have captured essentially rear window screens across the US, this would be an interesting opportunity for us to get acquired, which makes our expansion almost it's strategic. It's twofold, right? It's one to access this national spend, and it's two to increase our moat, right? Like increase like no one else is going to compete with us when we have national expansion. They want to fight our intellectual property, but and so this is a good opportunity for us to, we are first to market and we're going to scale pretty quick. And so we are raising money to do this at a pretty good valuation. And I think some people are going to make some really good money with us.
All right. So if they can, anybody that's interested, if you're an accredited investor and you find this to be an interesting opportunity, you want to learn more, you can reach out to Kaleb. That phone number there and that the right above my head,
Yeah.
that where they would reach out to you.
Yeah, that works. Or just my name, Kaleb, Kaleb at bumpr.ai works as well. And that'll be my email. And we'll get you, if you just say who you are at that phone number, they'll transfer you to me, no problem.
Okay. So I would say this to you.
Please.
Don't be too eager to sell too early.
Sure.
Right? Because I think you have multiple avenues, not just, Uber and Lyft are two very obvious ones. But then I think about just a big advertising agency, big marketing agency, right? That would be that would be a hell of a feather in their cap, man, right?
No kidding.
To have something like that. I think you're going to attract, I mean, I could see a Microsoft, or I could see a lot of different potential acquirers, right? Because I think it opens up a lot of different avenues, a whole bunch of different avenues, right?
And I appreciate, your advice, Tim. And I think one thing just to potential investors they should know about me is I run fast, but I listen to advice. I take heed of advice pretty well. I think Tim could probably speak speak for that. We've been friends for probably a year and a half now, or been a bit of a mentor that has coached me in certain ways. And so if you want someone that's going to run full speed and still listen to you with a good product, I'm your guy.
I'll tell you what, Kaleb, and that is one of the things, for a young guy, and I talk to a lot of CEOs, okay? A lot of CEOs. And there are certain things that I look for that make me feel comfortable to park my money with somebody as an investment. One of those things is, yes, of course I want a person that has a vision, has a strategy, and a plan, but I also want somebody who isn't myopically focused and not willing to consider other potential opportunities, right? And because if you're so myopically focused, to me, that's how you miss things that are happening around you. You can miss an entire, and I'll just give you an example: Blockbuster, Netflix,
Yeah.
right? Blockbuster, 800-pound gorilla, no longer exists, right? Netflix, a little nothing came in and wiped them out. That's fact, right?
Right.
Because the leadership was not focused on what was happening around them. They were not paying attention to the trends, the change in what was happening, right? Technologically. I mean, it didn't seem like having a disc mailed to you was a benefit over having a store right around the corner. But I got
Right.
to, I hated going to Blockbuster, especially when the new movie came out, because you go
Right.
down there to get the new movie and it would be already gone, right? Everybody took it. So then you're there going, well, I might as well pick something else up. And you're looking
Yeah.
at a bunch of crap movies that you really don't want to see. It was a pain in the neck, right? When I could just order it and know that I'll have it come in on Friday and I can watch it and send it back. It was way more convenient, right?
Yeah. No kidding. We've had a similar experience where, or we've actually kind of ruffled a few feathers in the industry where people are, um, they were, as much as the industry is old, right? And so when something new that comes in and threatens them, people do get sort of up in arms and created a little bit of chaos over LinkedIn that way. Which, at first it was like, oh shoot, but people keep coming up to me and being like, no, 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 like this is a good thing. Like you're a disruptor. If you're gonna, we're reshaping an old market, and so it's gonna
You're
happen.
exciting. You're making it relevant. You're making it. I think a lot of money gets spent on advertising that isn't very good. I
Right.
that's the reality of it. Like you said, you are grabbing people's attention, right? And you can even narrow it down to those zip codes, like we talked about. Say, I think that is impactful advertising, and just not just anybody that's watching, not just for investors, but if you're a small business owner, if you
Right.
are a large business owner that wants to do an innovative advertising campaign, you need to call these guys and give them a shot. I mean, what do you got to lose, right? What do you
Yeah,
got?
well, we for small businesses we do we will make the video for you. It's just something we're doing right now as a test in Vegas, and so you send us your marketing material, we'll compile it and have some good proven templates that work, and create an unmissable high signal experience for the consumer and the people in the streets. That'll get people coming into your door that wouldn't have even known about you before. So um, it's a good opportunity.
If I wanted to own one of these for the back of my car, can I own it or do I have to lease it from you?
You could buy one from us. And so I mean, this is a test market. And so this isn't something that we want to push is like, but if you wanted to own one, we could sell one to you. And then we would just charge a monthly minimum.
So what I like about your model is and let's expand upon this for a second for the international. You also collect a port. Do you still collect a portion of the advertising fee that's
Oh, yeah,
happening?
of course.
And then what about your software technology? Are you collecting anything for that?
Yeah, we have a NOC or network operational center fee.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you've got a reoccurring revenue model. It's not like you just sell this over to somebody internationally. You've got reoccurring revenue coming in every month.
correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So for every it's about 50,000 bucks or yeah, just over after shipping and all of the parts and everything. We're about $50 a month per unit of recurring revenue. So 1,000 units, that'd be in Mexico. It's a good start.
Revenue is my favorite model, right? I love that model because
Yeah.
it typically high margin, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is a beautiful model. So, Look, I think if you haven't heard of Bumpr, you haven't heard of Kaleb. This is an impressive young man. This is an incredibly impressive company. Brilliant idea. You've got to see this in person to really appreciate it. Once you do, you're like, that's just awesome, right? So if you're interested, reach out to Kaleb, and I'm sure Kaleb would be happy to take your call.
I'll even on a Friday.
Anything else that you feel as though I might have missed, Kaleb, that you want to share with anybody?
No, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. Hello at bumpr.ai or Kaleb at bumpr.ai. And would just investor or just an interested business mind, I'll would love to chat. I see this as a good opportunity to someone is going to do this, and that someone is going to be us. So we're excited to do that.
You got a great head start, my friend. Great head start. Keep up the good work. All right, that's it. I'll tell you what. When you have maybe some interesting developments that occur, maybe some expansion, or maybe after you open up Florida, we can have a little. We'll have you back. We'll do a follow up and see how things are going.
That'd be fun. I could show you around what a screen looks like in a car or something.
All right, that's awesome, man. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to shut this off.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Tim.
Got it. Thanks for tuning in to another CEO co-founder interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Bumpr Inc. CEO and co-founder Kaleb Janzen. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.